All right, so I think you understand the importance of branding and intertwining it in your projects. I just want to open the browser for us. All right, and how branding is a big part of web design. You know what? It's so important between a customer say, "Oh, this is a good program," and by a customer to be stunned, to be wowed by what you do. But this is not what this lesson is about. This lesson is about coding. All right, and I want to introduce coding to you in a very easy way. Remember, you are the architect, you are the conductor, you are not the writer of code. But like anything in life, you need to understand the basics of things that you work with at least. So we're going to start with a little box that contains data. Now this little box lives in memory, right? And the box will have a name and the box will have a value. So we have customer name and we have Sarah as the value that is stored in this box. Now, if you're programming for many years, I can see the eye rolling. I can feel the eye rolling. Skip this lesson. If you're programming already, just skip this lesson. Or see or what you might get is a different viewpoint on code, right? If you're new to code, this is all you'll need, is what's in this lesson. So this box is called a variable, and it's a way to store data in memory for quick receiving. For instance, I can have a price, say, of $25 or rands, and maybe you update your price list, and now it can become 28 rand, right? So you have two types of boxes. The one box is where you can have your, let's say, name Sarah, and so you have a username and Sarah, but someone else log in. The username now becomes John. So the name can change all the time, or the value can change all the time. Then you have something that's called a constant, and that means you cannot change this variable. It is set in stone, right? And examples there is the brand is a Rebel brand, and it's not going to change to anything else. It will always be a Rebel brand, and that is then a constant. Now, when you call up, or if you create a variable in JavaScript, you say let price be equal to 25, and you've created this box. You gave it a name of price, and you gave the value of 25. So this is very important to understand. For instance, let's say a temperature reading is 25, but in 10 seconds later it's 27, and so forth. And if you now look in your web application or on your mobile application, you can see that the temperature, and we'll program that later on. You can see in real life how the temperature changes, because your software, or your TypeScript or JavaScript in this case, will constantly look in that variable to see if anything changes. If it's constant, it will look once and don't really care from there on out, because a constant variable name means it's not going to change ever. So you can go and grab it once and use it. So a variable is all about store and retrieve. You can store all kinds of values in this box, in this variable. The box do have a name. In real life, it goes inside the memory of your computer, and because it's got a name, your program can quickly go into memory. Memory is super fast, milliseconds. You get the value back and you can use it. For instance, what we've done here is we said let total be 45.99. So there we created the variable with let, and then we print out to console or wherever total, which will now show 45.99. But at the same time, you might do another, let's say, temperature reading, and now suddenly total becomes 52.5 because that's the latest in temperature. So to change the variable, you simply say total equals 52.5. There I created it, there I changed it. Easy. If it was a constant and you try to change it, you'll get an error back that says constants can't be changed. Now, here's another example. Of course, it's also a way of tracking things as it changes. For example, in tier 2, each of these changes can be recorded into a database, and now suddenly, if it was, for instance, temperature or amount of customers entering a store in an hour, in the last hour, whatever, you can start drawing a graph from the previous readings. So that is very possible, and that's something we're going to do all the time, not just in IoT, but even when we're working with, let's say, shopping carts. How many customers bought today? What was the average sales or the average invoice amount, and what was the total sales? And you can store that in databases, and then you can start graphing, income, daily income, weekly income, monthly income, and so forth. But it all ends up being variable data that gets stored into either memory or later on into databases. So there we say let order total be 125. Card gets updated, so now order total becomes what the order total was, plus someone bought another 15 Rand or dollar worth of things, and now of course order total will be 125.5 plus the 15, giving it 140.5 as a total. Now there's much more in regards to variables, because variables can have types. JavaScript don't work with types, but types can be things like, is it text, is it a number, is it a decimal, for instance 15.3. the 0.3 means it's now not a full number like 12, it's 12.5, which is 12 and then a fraction of a number like 0.5. So then there's stuff like Boolean, which is a yes no type of variable. But JavaScript makes it easy. It will figure out data types by itself, very much like Python would. We're going to work with something called TypeScript later on, where we explicitly have to say what data type this JavaScript is. And that helps when you're compiling your software, running your software, to make sure that data types are all correct, and you're not seeing this happening when a customer starts buying. So we can add types to JavaScript, making it then a new language, which is not really a language, it's still JavaScript, but it forces that you have to tell what type of variable data it will be. Is it text? Is it numbers, decimals? Is it a yes, no? Boolean means exactly that. A 0 will mean yes, will mean no or false. 1 will mean yes or true. And it's a 0, 1. That's Boolean. So I'm not going to talk about much more than that for now on temperature. But yeah, you need to recognize as the programmer that, yeah, there is something like variables. And even in the code, if you really want to look through it, you will start seeing all these variables, and you can actually easily see if something is wrong. For instance, let temperature equals, and it prints out hello, or the value is hello. You know that that's not the value you were looking for, right? Now, the next thing is the recipe card. And we're going to cover that in the next lesson. So that's it for now. You understand variables now, maybe even better than some programmers, new programmers, that is. So I'll see you in the next lesson, and we're going to look at functions. So I'll see you soon.